Hello dear viewers. In this video we will be discussing a comic book miniseries that truly does everything it can to not only cross boundaries, but to completely disregard the existence of such boundaries. Events unfold in this book that, if described accurately, could result in this video being flagged. Some readers may even find themselves questioning their life choices after engaging with its content. With all that said, let us examine The Boys, Herogasm. This explicit comic series may have implications for the forthcoming episodes of The Boys. We all wish to envision a world where superheroes exist, but what if those superheroes were entirely self-centered and entitled, indulging in annual group fornication sprees? We must maintain discretion here. Instead of protecting the world from evil, they partake in these sensational scandals. It makes one ponder, would I ever permit such behavior within the Seven? For heaven's sake, Ashley, do not look at him. Focus on me. Yet, this is precisely the type of world depicted in Amazon Prime's most popular series. The Boys envisions itself in the third season of the series, which began on June 3rd, adapting Herogasm, a narrative from the show's comic based on an annual superhero fornication festival. Psycho, stop it. You know how that ends. Besides, it's an iconic miniseries from Garth Ennis's comic book narrative, and it's something that The Boys producer, Eric Kripke, has been working towards since the show's inception. Yes, you are indeed a real contender in American Hero. Keep it up, and we could be teammates. Oh wow, I certainly hope so, sir. Jessica Shu, the show's writer and co-producer, penned the episode, which she describes as glorious madness. Long before it became Amazon Prime's most successful original series, The Boys was quite a contentious franchise. Still, this season truly stands out in terms of adult humor and also controversies. However, let us be honest, if anything, the debatable nature of this series may just make it even more interesting to watch. Before we proceed to our explanation, we have a very small request. If you appreciate our content, we kindly ask you to support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small action on your part, but it holds significant meaning for us. Thank you, and let us begin. Today, we will explore the comic series where someone is tasked with maintaining order among the superheroes. In a world where costumed heroes soar through the skies and masked vigilantes patrol the night, it is essential to ensure that these superheroes do not clandestinely transform into the very entities that instill fear in the populace, supervillains. Therein lies the question of who will oversee the overseers, akin to the concept of who watches the watchman. Stand back. I urge you to maintain your distance. I will not hesitate to take action against any transgressions. The Boys is a team comprised of Billy Butcher, Huey, Mother's Milk, the Frenchman, and the female member. They represent a CIA-supported collective of exceptionally dangerous individuals, each committed to combating the most formidable threat on the planet: superpowers. Certain superheroes require vigilant oversight, while others necessitate strict control, and some of them must be completely removed from the picture if the situation necessitates it. And that is when you call upon the individuals. This is the setting that the series presents us with. Herogasm was the first release of The Boys miniseries, and it was controversial even by The Boys standards. Aside from the obvious parodies of several prominent superheroes engaging in behaviors that are at best kinky and at worst criminal, the narrative also provides insight into one of the most striking scenes in the comic's original storyline, as well as the role played by the superhero team, the Seven, during the events of 9/11. This particular story arc reveals where all the heroes and villains go during those periodic crossover events that threaten all reality. To a secret island staffed with the most refined and discreet courtesans and escorts for an unparalleled experience of debauchery involving alcohol, intoxicants, and adultery. Furthermore, when considering the extent to which the heroes in the series partake in these practices on a daily basis, one might find that their definition of debauchery requires a reevaluation. However, it is important to note that it is not all fun and games in the sun. Our very own famous five, the Boys themselves along with the Dog Terror, secretly join the Soups during their vacation and are presented with more than generous servings of ginger beer. As they uncover unpleasant truths surrounding the events of September 11th, 2001, as well as further plans by Vought America to gain greater power in the free world, this entire volume unfolds at a superhero retreat in Costa Rica, where the main event, Herogasm, is taking place. Like the rest of you, I'm stronger, I'm smarter, I'm better. Homelander, a powerful yet villainous superhero, is holding a press conference in front of the Capitol building in Washington as the first issue, titled Babylon, commences. He states that the Marith race satellite, known as Battle, has now reached Earth's solar system, and images of this formidable spaceship approaching Earth are presented to us. Homelander discloses that the G-Men were targeted by these invaders in a preemptive strike and have not been seen since. Despite our collective understanding that this narrative has been fabricated to explain the demise of the G-Men by Vought America in the preceding volume, then claims that all of Earth's heroes have banded together. for this massive superhero crossover. They will soon be traveling into space to combat the Marathria, and they will not return for quite some time. We now understand that this is all a fabricated narrative, and that all the superheroes are heading to Costa Rica to spend a week at an island resort, indulging in reckless and immoral activities. Next, we see James Stillwell, a powerful executive at Void America, aboard a private jet en route to the Herogasm. He is on the phone with his employer, who wishes to discuss matters with Vic, the Vice President of the United States, regarding the forthcoming election and the various plans that Void has in store for him. Stillwell does not appear to share any enthusiasm regarding this conversation. We then shift our focus to the boys, who have also arrived in Costa Rica. They are at the Herogasm to observe the superheroes and to ascertain the events surrounding the arrival of Vic the Veep and James Stillwell's jet as they monitor the aviation landing strip. Both parties are converging at the Herogasm due to the excellent security measures in place. This establishes it as an ideal location for a private rendezvous. What did you say to me? I apologize. I am truly sorry. I did not intend for that to happen. In the second issue of your narrative titled Amsterdam, Homelander leaps naked into the sky in front of an approaching airliner. As the plane descends, he unleashes laser beams at the pilot, resulting in the demise of everyone aboard. This incident will hold significance later. Vic, the Vice President, arrives at the Herogasm party, evidently pleased by the sight of all the illicit activities. We are introduced to Gary Godfrey, Vic's Chief of Staff. A conversation ensues between Stillwell and Godfrey, from which we glean that Void America operates a private military organization known as Red River, which has been placing covert operatives within the Secret Service. There has been an infiltration of the Secret Service, and some of Vic's Secret Service agents are also affiliated with Red River. Some agents are unaware of who is part of Red River and who is not, and this will become relevant further on. While explaining this to Stillwell, Godfrey states that they must be cautious about what they communicate to certain members of Vic, the Vice President's security detail, as not all of them are aligned with their interests regarding Homelander. Then he flies in to speak with Stillwell, who begins detailing the entire plot to him. Vic, the Vice President, is deemed too incompetent to win the election on his own, so they plan to assassinate the president. Stillwell wishes to convey this scheme to Vic at Herogasm. However, the specifics are complex, and his intellect is limited, making it a delicate subject. Stillwell requests that Homelander ensure Vic and his group feel welcomed at Herogasm. After a short while, members of the superhero group Payback contact Stillwell, complaining about Vic's inappropriate behavior. Stillwell appeases them by downplaying the Vice President's mental capabilities and instructs them to endure the situation for the time being. He then attempts to bribe them by promising additional funds and resources to elevate them to the status of the most remarkable superhero team of all time. The 7 in exchange for dealing with the boys once and for all, whatever it may be, perhaps we can utilize it to distract from the Homelanders, leading to a significant moment in the 3rd issue of the series titled Vegas. The boys throw the body of superhero known as the Duffer from a rooftop and into a pool, amidst the confusion surrounding the events that took place. During this turmoil, the boys abduct one of Vic the Veep's Secret Service squad members. Huey finds himself in the sewers, while Butcher, Frenchie, and the female plan the kidnapping. Black Noir apprehends Huey and assaults him, rendering him unconscious. Back at the pool, Homelander examines the Duffer's body and concludes that the Duffer overdosed, wandered off the roof in a state of euphoria, and fell. He urges everyone not to be alarmed, stating that the death was accidental. Butcher searches the sewers for Huey, but Huey does not wish to be found. Meanwhile, Godfrey meets with Stillwell to discuss the upcoming meeting with Vic, which is scheduled to take place later on. Godfrey also presents some documentation regarding the Trans-Pacific jet that crashed due to Homelander's actions. Eventually, Huey regains consciousness and breaks free from whatever interaction occurred between him and Black Noir. He encounters the Butcher and relaxes somewhat. He is then introduced to U.S. Secret Service agent Michael Lucero, the subject of their abduction in issue 4 of Herogasm titled Sparta. Some of the Secret Service agents express concern that Agent Lucero has gone AWOL, but they do not investigate this matter deeply and merely assume he is occupied with other responsibilities. Meanwhile, Agent Lucero recounts his story to the group. He had always aspired to join the Secret Service as it appeared to be a noble pursuit. Initially, he was content with his assignment to Vic, but he soon came to realize that Vic was not entirely mentally stable. Nevertheless, he is gratified that he remained vigilant, as he was present in the Situation Room alongside the President and Vice President when one of America's greatest tragedies unfolded. The President had been prepared for this incident for months and had been on high alert. He ordered a jet fighter to engage a hijacked airliner, instructing them to shoot down the target despite the presence of innocent passengers. were aboard, he ordered the downing of 2 of the hijacked flights, and a third boarded at the airport. However, the 4th plane remained unaccounted for. The president was unexpectedly struck in the head and rendered unconscious, likely by Vic, the VIP, who continued to state, "Tell NORAD to order a weapons hold." This directive had been relayed to him by Voice America. The room fell silent, yet the attendees felt compelled to comply with Vic's command and informed the fighter aircraft to stand down. The president's predicament was disregarded, as the ongoing terrorist attack took precedence over this matter. Vic's involvement could not be substantiated. Consequently, the White House has since been in a state of internal conflict. The president is cognizant that Vic and Voice America are conspiring, but he lacks the evidence to take action. Agent Lucero expresses optimism that the team will rectify the situation. Stillwell and Godfrey are currently awaiting Vic's arrival. Upon his arrival, Stillwell advises him on how to conduct himself and oversee the implementation of superhuman capabilities by the U.S. Department of Defense. In the end, only one of us remains. Stan Butcher has permitted Agent Lucero to proceed in Issue 5 of Herogasm, termed Hollywood, as he has now become a sort of ally. Upon returning to his fellow Secret Service agents, Agent Lucero fabricates a narrative about engaging in a confrontation with one of the superheroes. Later, he confides to an acquaintance within the Secret Service that the issue of Voice America's Red River Gang infiltrating the security detail may need attention. Godfrey, who is passing by, overhears this remark. Consequently, Godfrey instructs a Secret Service agent loyal to Red River to conduct a thorough search of the entire island. Meanwhile, on the other side of the island, Stillwell is seated at a bar with a high-end escort who pretends to be off-duty. After conversing with her for a while, Stillwell realizes that she has been hired by someone to keep him occupied. He threatens her and demands that she disclose the identity of that person. In the meantime, Homelander is accepting his award for Best Hero at the Soupies. He states that he has an important announcement to make to all his colleagues present in the room. He intends to explain the reasons for having lasered the plane earlier. However, before he can complete his statement, he notices Stillwell entering. Homelander is visibly taken aback and hurriedly exits the stage with his award. Backstage, it becomes apparent that Homelander is furious, and we learn that he hired the escort to distract Stillwell. Meanwhile, Agent Lucero, who is accompanied by a Secret Service acquaintance, observes Red River personnel searching the island and grows concerned that they might find the boys. Lucero collaborates with the boys in Issue 6 of Herogasm, titled Golgotha, where they successfully subdue the Red River operatives who are scouring the island and decide to take them hostage, ensuring they can continue their hourly check-ins with Godfrey to avoid raising suspicion. The following day, all the heroes prepare to depart the island and begin to make their way out as Godfrey, alongside Vice President Vic, expresses a desire to leave the island. As he radios his Secret Service colleagues to call it quits, Vic disembarks from the plane, prompting an irate Godfrey to search for and retrieve him. Meanwhile, operatives from Red River engage in combat with the boys and succeed in seizing their jet. In their attempt to take off and flee, Lucero sustains severe injuries but manages to leap off the train just before it departs. The Frenchman throws the female onto the jet as it ascends, and she clings to it in an effort to stop them. She inflicts enough damage on the aircraft to necessitate a crash, resulting in the death of all aboard. Concurrently, Agent Lucero confronts Godfrey and Vic, shooting and killing Godfrey with his remaining strength before succumbing to his injuries. Vic, the vice president, successfully flees the island unharmed, and the boys, eager to return home following the conclusion of the Herogasm, honor Agent Lucero's memory by draping his body with the American flag, thereby concluding the volume. Teddy's well-being remains intact. Here is the remarkable verdict on this raw comic strip. That Amazon Prime Videos. The plot of the renowned Herogasm will, to say the least, be startling to many. The miniseries contains such a level of depravity that it surprised a considerable audience. However, this does not diminish the fact that it is an excellent narrative and an integral part of the boys' lore. This narrative extends through to the conclusion of the series, regardless of the instances of fornication, intoxicants, and other topics that cannot be explicitly mentioned in an effort to maintain decorum. It is remarkable that the creative team behind the show managed to bring this scenario to life. Whatever the circumstances, the mere inclusion of this mini-series guarantees that it will be unforgettable. As one would anticipate, if they had been following the boys at all, Herogasm is filled with explicit content, laugh-out-loud moments, and shocking explosions from beginning to end. The overall tone is exuberant, as Ennis seeks ever more perverse and amusing situations for the supporting cast to navigate, while taking satirical jabs at the Avengers. The Fantastic Four, many members of Batman's Rogues Gallery, and dozens more. Artist John McCree's ability for pleasant goonery has rarely been employed for a better purpose. Even the most horrifying and vile crimes are rendered with a chirpy gloss that effectively complements the harsher moments. Anis's writing is once again excellent, and the artwork by his longtime collaborator John McCree is fantastic as well. While bonus features are absent from the miniseries, they are not essential, as the festive spirit drives the narrative. Both the actors and the readers enjoy a much-needed respite from the main series, which is currently in a very grim setting. It cannot be denied that the comic is quite violent and explicit. However, it is also a highly entertaining read that boasts a large fan base. Overall, as has been reiterated many times in reviews of The Boys, one cannot go wrong with this series. The following outlines the reasons some individuals may be reluctant to view the Herogasm episode. Not all viewers will appreciate the Herogasm episode or the comic series, as they encompass numerous instances of substance abuse, violence, and other potentially distressing content. This material may not be suitable for all viewers and readers. Thus, before engaging with the comics or the show, one should be prepared to encounter content that may be unfamiliar. Anthony Starr, who portrays the villainous superhero Homelander in The Boys, has expressed that he would refrain from watching the Herogasm episode of the superhero parody series. The New Zealand actor conveyed his concerns regarding the adaptation of the classic comic book narrative during an interview with GQ, acknowledging the eagerness of comic book fans to view it, yet admitting that he is somewhat prudish and would opt to fast-forward through that episode. Starr was not the only individual on set who was startled by the sight of a group of naked superheroes engaging intimately with one another. Co-star Jensen Ackles reportedly commented that witnessing so many nude extras was a traumatic experience for the entire team. Chase Crawford, who portrays the Deep in the series, also shared similar sentiments. He also humorously remarked that his co-stars were left traumatized after filming the episode, urging them to be more lighthearted. Mario is awaiting a few special words from the showrunner. The showrunner of The Boys has stated that the version of the Herogasm narrative in Season 3 will shatter fans' hearts. The announcement that The Boys Season 3 will adapt Herogasm came directly from the creator, Eric Kripke. He also discussed the news that supernatural actor Jensen Ackles will portray Soldier Boy, a spoof of Captain America, in an interview with SFX magazine. Kripke praised the Prime Video series' interpretation of the comic's most contentious arc, describing it as a significant adults-only event with a humorous and strange atmosphere for the episode. He noted that it is well known among fans of The Boys. Furthermore, he remarked, "If there's one thing The Boys are good at, it's breaking your heart in the midst of an unsavory event." Even in such an unusual setting, the cast managed to deliver some very dramatic and tragic sequences. What did you do? Something I should have done a long time ago. This is a superhero company. According to Kripke, the performers and the crew, the episode Herogasm in The Boys Season 3 will retain the essence of the comic miniseries, which is primarily rooted in shock value. Back in 2019, when The Boys Season 1 was still in its early stages, Kripke asserted that Herogasm would be included in Season 3 if it was greenlit, and that the writing team aimed to develop their own interpretation of it, ensuring it was not merely an hour of extreme fornication. Fortunately, it appears they have done so without compromising the outrageousness that the adaptation demands. Chase Crawford also expressed concern for the audience, stating he was apprehensive about them witnessing some of the content in Season 3. He mentioned that he had not yet seen much of it himself, and was curious to observe how it would be presented. Jensen Ackles recently noted that the crew filming Herogasm was traumatized during certain sequences. He acknowledged he knew what would transpire, but was simply intrigued to see how it would be executed. Even the director admitted to having no prior knowledge of the unfolding events. What he was filming at the time is to inform him that you retrieved the Flight 37 video from The Atlantic and presented it to Maeve. In conclusion, all the events that unfold in the mini-comic series are bound to render the Herogasm episode of The Boys an iconic one. The series has already distinguished itself as an action narrative with its eccentric plotlines and unconventional approach to the superhero genre, and this episode will likely serve as another accolade in its achievements. Given the manner in which the series has skillfully blended comedic and dramatic elements up to this point, this episode will likely follow suit. The finer details will remain undisclosed until the episode's release. However, the statements provided by the cast and crew are currently the only significant announcements regarding Kripke's adaptation of Herogasm, aside from its exclusions and the fact that it occupies only one episode. Nonetheless, this is more than sufficient to generate considerable excitement and apprehension for what may be The Boys' most contentious moment thus far. If you enjoyed our content, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to our channel if you have not done so already. Wishing you a pleasant day and stay safe. Thank you, everyone.